watching World News Program. I'm your host, Miriam Zien, and these are the headlines. Following the renewed escalation in the Strait of Hormuz, the United States confirms that the ceasefire with Iran is still holding. Tehran accuses Washington of killing civilians in attacks on civilian boats, and the Speaker of the Iranian parliament says that a new equation for the Strait of Hormuz is taking shape. In Lebanon, Zionist forces launched several raids on villages south of the country, and Hezbollah announced the execution of several operations against the Zionist occupation in southern towns. The Algerian president affirms that strengthening constitutional oversight is at the heart of the comprehensive reform project in the country and renews his pledge to build a state of law and justice. Hello and welcome back to the details. And first, in our file, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Iran does not control the Strait of Hormuz and that current U.S. operations to protect commercial shipping are limited, temporary, and defensive. He emphasized there is no intent to escalate. The ceasefire with Tehran still holds, and U.S. forces will respond if it is violated, with final decisions made by political leaders.
No, the ceasefire is not over. Ultimately, this is a separate and distinct project, and we expected there would be some churn at the beginning, which happened. And we said we would defend and defend aggressively, and we absolutely have. Iran knows that.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Dan Kane said U.S. forces are ready to resume large-scale combat against Iran if ordered, stressing that current restraint does not signal weakness and that military preparations continue in case of escalation.
Beyond Project Freedom, CENTCOM and the rest of the Joint Force remain ready to resume major combat operations against Iran if ordered to do so. No adversary should mistake our current restraint with a lack of resolve. And the President has said, as the Secretary has, that now is the time for those with equity stake in the Strait to come assist.
U.S. President Donald Trump urged Iran to make a smart choice and reach a deal, saying he wants to avoid further strikes and loss of life. He added that Tehran appears interested in an agreement, but accused it of playing small games and speaking differently in public than in private. The U.S. military said it destroyed 6 Iranian boats and intercepted missiles and drones after attempts to disrupt a new naval mission to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump launched Operation Freedom to regain control of the key waterway after Iran effectively closed it during the conflict that began on February 28. Iran accused U.S. forces of killing 5 civilians after targeting 2 cargo boats off of Oman's coast. A military source told Tasnim news agency that U.S. forces fired on vessels carrying civilians from Khasab to Iran, destroying them and killing those on board. The agency rejected U.S. claims that the target were killed by Revolutionary Guard boats. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps warned that ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz must use only routes designed by Tehran, stating that any deviation would be considered unsafe and met with a firm response. Iran said there is no military solution in the Strait of Hormuz. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said political crises must be resolved diplomatically, noting progress in talks mediated by Pakistan. He warned the U.S. and UAE against being drawn into a quagmire, calling Operation Freedom a dead-end project.
Hormuz made clear that there is no military solution to a political crisis, as talks are making progress with Pakistan's gracious effort. The US should wary of being dragged back into a quagmire by ill-wishers. So should the UAE. Project Freedom is Project Deadlock.
The Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said Iran is working to establish a new equation in the Strait of Hormuz amid ongoing tensions and clashes linked to a U.S. operation to extract stranded ships. He added that the situation is unsustainable for the United States, warning that we have not yet begun.
The equation of the Strait of Hormuz is in the process of being solidified. The security of shipping and energy transit has been jeopardized by the United States and its allies through the violation of the ceasefire and the imposition of a blockade. Of course, their evil will diminish. We know full well that the continuation of the status quo is intolerable for the US, while we have not even begun yet.
Authorities said Iran attacks on the UAE injured 3 people. A drone strike hit the Fujairah oil area and caused a fire, with 3 Indian nationals reported moderately injured. The UAE Ministry of Defense also said it intercepted 4 cruise missiles over its waters, while 1 fell into the sea, and reported that an ADNOC tanker was targeted by 2 drones. Meanwhile, Iran denied striking the UAE in recent days, according to a statement by the spokesman for Iran's Joint Military Command, Ibrahim Zolfagari. Iran's foreign ministry said Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will visit Beijing on Tuesday for talks with his Chinese counterpart. The visit is aimed at strengthening Iran-China relations and discussing key regional and international developments. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said U.S. military presence in the region increases insecurity and that Gulf security should be based on regional cooperation. He added that Iran is focused on negotiations on ending the war, saying talks are occurring amid deep mistrust for the United States. Israeli forces carried out airstrikes Tuesday on villages in southern Lebanon, injuring 1 civilian and causing major damage in Haruf and Nabatiya and Dir Kifa, according to local media. Hezbollah said it carried out 6 operations against advancing Zionist forces in southern Lebanon in response to shelling over several towns. It reported hitting an Israeli vehicle in Deir Syrian with a loitering munition and targeting 2 Merkava tanks in Al-Kawzah and Al-Bayada with a drone and guided missile, claiming direct hits. Gaza's health ministry said Israeli airstrikes killed at least 2 Palestinians and injured others on Tuesday. 1 person was killed and 2 wounded near Gaza City's Sheikh Radwan area, while another was killed and several others injured in tank shelling in central Gaza. Also, 3 Palestinians were killed and 11 wounded in Israeli airstrikes across the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours, according to reports. UEFA said hospitals received the casualties during that period and added that 834 people have been killed and 2,365 injured since the ceasefire began on 11 October. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune said constitutional oversight is central to Algeria's reform agenda. In a speech delivered by Constitutional Court President Leila Aslawi, he described it as a sovereign safeguard that strengthens public trust in laws and allows citizens to participate in oversight through constitutional referral.
إن اختياركم موضوع دور الرقابة الدستورية Your choice of the topic of constitutional oversight as the focus of our discussion is at the heart of our comprehensive reform project. In Algeria, we do not see constitutional oversight as a dry technical instrument. Rather, we see it as a guarantee of a great sovereignty which aims, first of all, to strengthen citizens' confidence in the laws of the Republic. Therefore, citizens should actively participate in this oversight through the plea of unconstitutionality that we have developed and simplified measures to enable everyone who has a right to reach constitutional justice quickly and safely. Our vision of a new Algeria does not complete without an effective constitutional oversight in the future. This constitutional oversight has legal and operational tools that prevent any interference and any misinterpretation that may violate the Constitution and the constitutional document.
Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune said hosting the International Legal Forum highlights the strength of Algeria's constitutional judiciary and its openness to international experience.
I'm pleased to welcome you as my country is hosting this International Legal Forum, which has become an annual institutional tradition that reflects the dynamic of the Algerian Constitutional Court and its openness to the international experience and its effort to build scientific communication bridges that aim to enhance constitutional justice.
In the same context, Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune reaffirmed his commitment to building a rule of law state based on the supremacy of the Constitution. He said this vision, rooted in the November 1st, 1954 Declaration, prioritizes protecting fundamental rights and strengthening freedoms as a core state principle.
The holding of this forum is a renewal of the pledge we made to the Algerian people to build a state of law and justice, a state whose foundations rest on the absolute sovereignty of the Constitution and the supremacy of its provisions, and which makes the protection of rights and freedoms a firmly established principle in the work of all its institutions. A pledge to build a state where no one is wronged, a state whose foundations rest on the absolute sovereignty of the Constitution and which makes the protection of fundamental rights and the promotion of freedoms a firmly established principle that permeates the conscience and actions of all institutions of the Republic without exception. It is a pledge that draws its inspiration from the Declaration of November 1st, 1954, that historic document that revived the Algerian state as a democratic and social state. The November Declaration was the first constitution of the revolution and liberation, and it is today the moral and political reference for building the new Algeria and establishing the true meaning of citizenship.
The Algerian head of state, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, said protecting rights and freedom is a guiding principle for all state institutions. He also highlighted what he described as bold constitutional and legal reforms aimed at correcting gaps in existing laws and aligning them with public expectations.
The process of constitutional and legal reforms in our country is characterized by courage and realism. From this standpoint came the recent partial constitutional amendment to address some articles in which practical experiences and field practice revealed some shortcomings, thus necessitating intervention to amend these texts to ensure their compatibility, in line with the inspirations of society and to avoid any interpretation that might hinder the effectiveness of constitutional institutions or infringe upon the essence of freedoms. This is evidence that our constitution is a living document that evolves with the development of the nation and does not remain static.
Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune said Algeria is proud of its efforts to strengthen and protect rights and freedoms. He added that improving these guarantees requires international cooperation, noting that they are universal human values.
Today, as Algeria proudly reviews its national experience and simultaneously benefits from benefits from comparative legal systems, it affirms its firm belief that the preservation and promotion of rights and freedoms are shared human values that transcend geographical boundaries, and that these values require more than ever before close international cooperation from us. To develop safeguards to protect it in the face of the accelerating challenges and profound transformations that the entire world is witnessing.
Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf met EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, Dubraka Twissa, in Algiers to discuss strengthening Algeria-EU relations. They reviewed cooperation under the Pact for the Mediterranean, focusing on investment, trade, energy, green economy, education, and mobility, and also discussed regional security and development challenges, calling for closer coordination. Algerian Energy Minister Mohamed Arqab and Egyptian Petroleum Minister Karim Badawi oversaw a deal launching the second phase of the Hassi Bir Rikaz oil field project in southern Algeria, along with a hydrocarbon marketing agreement. Arqab said the agreement reflects strong Algeria-Egypt relations and supports plans to expand production capacity through a new crude processing unit as part of Sonatrach's strategy to improve energy output and security.
This important event falls within the framework of the distinguished brotherly relations of cooperation that unite Algeria and Egypt, in implementation of the directives of the leaders of both countries. It also reflects our shared determination to strengthen Arab and African cooperation and to advance strategic partnerships among the countries of the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, your presence with us today embodies the depth of the professional ties that bring us together and reflects a shared commitment to strengthening partnership in a vital and strategic sector such as hydrocarbons. It also demonstrates renewed confidence in Algeria's capabilities and the strong potential of its promising investment environment.
بيئتنا الاستثمارية الواعدة.
Minister Arqab said the contract with a consortium, including Egypt's project or Petrojet, aims to build a new crude oil processing unit. He added that the project is part of Sonatrach's strategy to expand production capacity and better utilize energy resources. Let's have a listen.
يهدف هذا المشروع إلى إنجاز وحدة.
This project aims to construct a new crude oil treatment unit, in addition to facilities for processing associated gas and produced water, as well as various related installations. This project will contribute to increasing production capacity and improving processing efficiency, thereby strengthening Sonatrach's position as a reliable energy supplier. This project also falls within Sonatrach's strategy to expand its production capacities and enhance the value of its energy resources through balanced partnerships that combine national expertise with international know-how, thereby supporting added value for the national economy and reinforcing the depth of sustainable development.
الاقتصاد الوطني ويعزز مسار التنمية المستدامة.
The Algerian Minister of Hydrocarbons said the project is an additional step to strengthen the country's hydrocarbons capacity and ensure energy security. He also praised Sonatrach staff for their ongoing support of such strategic projects.
إن هذا المشروع يعد خطوة إضافية.
This project represents an additional step towards strengthening our national capabilities in the hydrocarbon sector, ensuring our energy security, increasing our reserves, as well as supporting our exports and reinforcing Algeria's position in the global energy market. I would also like on this occasion to pay tribute to the efforts of all executives and workers of Sonatrach for their commitment and continuous support for such strategic projects, reflecting a high level of professionalism and a strong dedication to the development of this vital sector. In conclusion, we once again welcome our partners and reaffirm that Algeria will remain a reliable and stable partner, offering promising opportunities across all segments of the hydrocarbons value chain in a spirit of transparency and mutual respect.
والاحترام المتبادل.
Minister Arqab said the strong momentum in Algeria's hydrocarbon sector reflects a promising economic and legislative environment driven by deep reforms under President Tebboune.
هذه الديناميكية.
This momentum comes within a promising economic and legislative context, embodies in the deep reforms undertaken by the state under the leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, notably through Law 1913 on hydrocarbons and Law 2218 on investment. These laws have provided a modern and incentive-based legal framework grounded in transparency and designed to ensure investment attractiveness. On this occasion, I would like to invite our partners, particularly Egyptian companies, to seize the available investment opportunities in Algeria and to participate in the Algeria Bid Round 2026 tender round, launched by the National Agency for the Valorization of Hydrocarbon Resources with the active contribution of Sonatrach.
بمساهمة فعالة من مجمع سوناتراك.
For his part, Egypt's Petroleum Minister Karim Badawi praised Algeria-Egypt cooperation, calling it vital for development. After signing agreements on the second phase of the Hasibir Kais project and the hydrocarbon marketing MOU, he said energy partnership between Cairo and Algiers is a key driver of growth.
العلاقات بين الجزائر ومصر.
The relationship between Algeria and Egypt is a historic one that spans decades. Our presence here today is clear evidence of the partnership between the two countries, a partnership in a vital sector, energy, which is a key driver for the development of societies and peoples. It is therefore a great honor for me to be among you today. At the outset of my remarks, I would like to express my appreciation for the 6 alliances under the Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, as these alliances represent a fundamental pillar of cooperation between the two sister countries, Algeria and Egypt. These 6 alliances work to increase field production, improve reserve management, and intensify exploration activities in order to increase additional reserves that can be brought into production.
خزانات إضافية تخش في.
Egyptian Petroleum Minister Karim Badawi said the hydrocarbon marketing memorandum between Egypt and Algeria is a strong example of cooperation and a symbol of solid relations between Cairo and Algiers.
تواجدنا النهارده مع بعض يمثل
Our presence together today embodies our ability to build effective partnerships on the ground and to make use of Egyptian expertise and skills with our partners in Algeria and the energy sector. The partnership with project within the ARCAT consortium for this major complex will create added value for Algeria and for all our partners. The Memorandum of Understanding to be signed today is also a clear example of cooperation between the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria and the Arab Republic of Egypt, highlighting collaboration in ARCAT and how to enhance the added value of petroleum products through partnership, benefiting citizens in Egypt as well as generating additional value from ARCAT and its outputs.
للتعاون بين جمهورية الجزائر وجمهورية مصر العربية.
This is the end of our newscast. Thank you for watching, but stay here with us as coming up next is our special coverage on developments in the Middle East.